He would love nothing more than to divide our country based on race, religion, gender, orientation, or immigration status. Because this is the only way he knows he can prevent the solidarity of us working together across all of our differences.
You know, it's really quite interesting how people have tried to manipulate people and how to intimidate people and change their minds. This has been going on since we've been in America. You know, you go back to the days of slavery.
We're living in an era where stepping outside the approved narrative comes with consequences. If you don't fall in line, if you don't repeat the talking points, you're labeled attacked and dismissed. And few people understand that better than Dr. Ben Carson. On one side you have politicians like Ilhan Omar who constantly talk about oppression and systemic failure. On the other you have Ben Carson, a man who grew up poor, overcame enormous odds, and became one of the most respected neurosurgeons in the world, standing up and saying, "I refuse to see myself as a victim." That statement alone sends the left into a frenzy. Why? Because a black conservative who thinks independently shatters their entire framework. They want minorities to believe there's only one acceptable way to vote, think, and speak. Carson dismantles that myth in minutes. When he explains the difference between a house slave and a field slave mindset, it hits uncomfortably close to modern politics, especially inside today's Democratic Party. Let's roll the clip, because after this, I'll explain exactly why figures like Ilhan Omar are so rattled by this message.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your courage to be here, because in the society that we live in today, it takes a lot of courage to say that you're supporting President Trump. And you know, it's really quite interesting how people have tried to manipulate people and how to intimidate people and change their minds. This has been going on since we've been in America. You know, you go back to the days of slavery. You know, in a lot of the states there were more slaves than there were owners. So what did they do? They had to divide the slaves. So they told the ones in the house, "You're better than the ones in the yard. And the ones in the yard, you're better than the ones in the field." And then after slavery was over, the light-skinned ones, "You're better than the dark-skinned ones." And on it went, trying to divide people. Today they say, if you are a conservative, then you are somehow an Uncle Tom, you're a horrible person, you're a demon. What a bunch of crap, you know, but you know, it's been going on for hundreds of years. And it's really time to put a stop to it. So I am very happy to see that you have the courage to come out. You know, it doesn't bother me anymore, because, you know, I only worry about what God thinks. I don't worry about what these other people think. But you know, sometimes people ask me, "What happened to you? You changed." I haven't changed. I changed about 35 years ago, because you see, I grew up in Detroit, a bastion of liberalism. They call it progressivism now. They keep changing the name. But anyway, then from there to Boston, a bastion of liberalism. Back to Detroit, and then to New Haven, Connecticut, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Ann Arbor, Michigan, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Baltimore, Maryland, a bastion of liberalism. So I had no chance. I was a liberal. I was way out there. And then I did something that liberals are never supposed to do. I listened to a conservative. I listened to Ronald Reagan, and I said, you know, he doesn't sound like a horrible racist person. He sounds just like my mother. And at that point, I started thinking for myself. And that made a big difference. It made a big difference in my medical career, too. I didn't do what everybody else did. I always started thinking out of the box. How do you solve this problem? And that's the reason that God gave us these complex brains. Your brain has billions and billions of neurons, hundreds of billions of interconnections. It remembers everything you've ever seen, everything you've ever heard. It can process more than 2 million bits of information in 1 second. Would God give you something like that just so that you can be a sheep and follow what somebody else tells you to do, or to think for yourself? And you know, don't you find it fascinating that so many people say the president's a racist, he's a horrible racist and everything he does? Well, you know, it seems to me like some years ago, Jesse Jackson actually gave the president an award in New York City because he opened so many opportunities for black people. Is that what a racist does? And then when he moved to Palm Beach, he was right on the forefront to fighting the clubs who were not admitting Jews and blacks. Does that sound like what a racist would do? He is the one who finally got the Second Chance Act done. Does that sound like what a racist would do? When he took office, he brought the office of HBCUs to the White House so it could get appropriate attention, more money than ever. Opportunity zones so that people could take this money and direct it to the places where people did not have opportunities before. An economy where you have the lowest unemployment rates for black people in history, and it goes on and on and on. Let me tell you something. If he's a racist, he's an awfully bad one. He needs to go get a lesson from the real racists. The people who look at somebody like you and me and they say, because your skin is a certain color, you have to think a certain way. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. And they start calling you names. Those are the real racists. But you know, the president believes that a rising tide lifts all boats. He doesn't believe in identity politics, and that's why he's doing things that work for everybody. And we should be happy about that. And the media, they like to pick on him, any little thing. You know, he's not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. The only one who ever was perfect was Jesus, and they crucified him. So, you know, think about this. And we need to just look at the big picture. Think about all the incredible things that are happening. Think for ourselves and be missionaries. Go out and talk to your family, talk to your friends, help them to realize, because see, if all they're doing is looking at certain media, they don't even know about these things that we just talked about that he has done. And so they can perpetrate this horrible image of him being a bad person. It is absolutely not true. I work with him all the time. He's a wonderful person. He's become a good friend. You remember during the campaign when we were having a debate and I couldn't hear my name. I came out, I stood there, I was waiting to hear everybody else gleefully walk past. He was the only one who stood with me until they straightened it out. That's the kind of person that our president is. He is my friend, and he will be your friend as you get to know him. Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
That line right there, make them believe there is no hope. Make them believe they're victims. Did you catch that? That's the blueprint. Ben Carson isn't just talking, he's exposing how control works. His point is simple. If people believe they're powerless, they'll always look to the government to rescue them. Dependence becomes the strategy. And this is where politicians like Ilhan Omar completely lose the plot. Her obsession with Donald Trump borders on all-consuming. That hatred clouds everything. When she sees Ben Carson, a calm, intelligent, compassionate man, standing anywhere near Trump, she instantly dismisses him. Not because he lacks credibility, but because he threatens the narrative. Carson represents the one thing the far left can't manage: proof. Proof that someone can grow up in poverty in a deeply liberal city like Detroit and realize the system isn't saving them. Proof that the government isn't your parent. Proof that personal responsibility and independence still matter. Carson says he woke up decades ago, and it shows. Listen to Ilhan Omar speak, and it's always division. Always grievance. Always us versus them. America is portrayed as irredeemable. Carson offers something radically different: unity through self-determination. He rejects the idea of being managed by elites who promise salvation but deliver dependency. That's why figures like Omar attack men like Carson so aggressively. They don't have an answer for him. They can't explain how a nation they claim is fundamentally broken produced a world-class surgeon, a best-selling author, and a cabinet secretary all in one lifetime. His existence exposes the flaw in their worldview, so instead of debating him, they attack him. Instead of learning from his success, they dismiss it. Carson's message is dangerous to them because it offers hope without permission. He didn't stay on the plantation, he walked away from it decades ago. And that's exactly why his voice still matters.